I'm Claire Barnes, and at 49, I thought I had life figured out. Fashion editor for Southern Style magazine. Divorced. Living alone in my pristine Jackson apartment with nothing but designer clothes and empty wine bottles for company. That Tuesday morning, my editor Marcus dropped an assignment on my desk like a grenade. Cover the arts festival. Find something fresh. I don't do street performers and pottery booths. You do now. The Jackson Arts Festival sprawled across downtown like colorful chaos. Families with sticky-fingered kids, college students with paint-stained fingers, and me in my Chanel suit feeling completely out of place. I was ready to phone in some generic piece about community spirit when I heard the crowd gasp. A street magician had a woman floating 3 feet off the ground. Real magic or clever tricks, I couldn't tell, but something about the scene drew me closer. The performer, a lanky guy with a top hat, gestured dramatically while his assistant, a white rabbit, sat perfectly still despite the noise. That's when I noticed her. Blonde hair catching the autumn sunlight, wearing a flowing dress that somehow looked both bohemian and elegant. While everyone else watched the floating woman, she focused entirely on the rabbit. Her blue eyes held this strange serenity, like she understood something the rest of us missed. The trick ended with applause, but suddenly the rabbit bolted. People scattered, parents grabbed children, and chaos erupted. Everyone except the blonde woman. She knelt down, extending her hand. Easy there, sweet boy. I know crowds are scary. The rabbit stopped running. Actually stopped and looked at her. Come on back. Your person's worried about you. I swear that rabbit nodded before hopping straight into her arms. How did you do that? I found myself asking. She turned those blue eyes on me, and for a second, I forgot how to breathe. I listened to what he was feeling. Animals are honest about their emotions, unlike most people. Her smile held mischief and kindness in equal measure. Claire Barnes, Southern Style magazine. I extended my hand professionally. Leah Allen. I help animals communicate with their humans. That's actually a career? Pays better than you'd think. People love their pets more than their neighbors. She handed the rabbit back to the grateful magician, who pressed $20 into her palm despite her protests. Buy me coffee sometime, she said, tucking the bill away. I'll tell you more about honest communication. Before I could respond, she melted back into the crowd, leaving me standing there wondering what the hell just happened. I hadn't been genuinely curious about another person in years, yet here I was already planning questions for an interview I hadn't even proposed yet. That night, I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror. Same auburn hair, same green eyes, same carefully controlled expression I'd perfected over decades. But something felt different. Like that rabbit, maybe I'd been running from something I couldn't name. I found Leah's business card online, Leah Allen, animal communication specialist. Her website showed photos of her with dogs, cats, horses, all looking at her with that same trust I'd witnessed at the festival. I called before I could change my mind. Leah speaking. This is Claire Barnes. From the festival? I'd like to interview you for a magazine piece. About time. I was wondering when you'd call. You were expecting me to call? Honey, I saw how you looked at me. Same way that Rabbit looked when he realized I understood him. Heat crept up my neck. This is professional. Of course it is. How about Thursday at Cups Coffee on State Street? 2:00? That works. Claire? Yes? Bring your curiosity. Leave your assumptions at home. The line went dead, and I sat there holding the phone, wondering what I'd just gotten myself into. Thursday came faster than I wanted. I spent 20 minutes choosing an outfit that screamed serious journalist but whispered approachable human being. Settled on a navy blazer with jeans. Compromise incarnate. Cups Coffee buzzed with the usual Jackson mix of college students and business types. I spotted Leah immediately, sitting by the window with a steaming mug, looking completely at ease in her flowing green dress. Her blonde hair was loosely braided, and she was sketching something in a worn notebook. Sorry I'm late, I said, sliding into the chair across from her. You're not. I'm early. Habit from working with animals, they operate on their own schedules. I pulled out my phone to record. Mind if I? Go ahead. Though fair warning, I might say things that don't fit your usual lifestyle pieces. Try me. She leaned back, studying me with those unsettling blue eyes. Most people think I'm either a fraud or completely crazy. Which camp are you in? The skeptical but curious camp. Honest. I like that. She sipped her coffee. Ask away. How did you discover this ability? I was 8. Found a stray dog limping behind our house. My mom said we couldn't keep him, but I kept sneaking him food. One day, clear as day, I heard him tell me his paw hurt. Not words, exactly. More like feelings that became thoughts. And you believed it was real? Kid logic. Of course it was real. Took years of adults telling me I was imagining things before I started doubting myself. Her honesty caught me off guard. What changed your mind back? College psychology classes, actually. Learned about nonverbal communication, energy, intuition. Started trusting myself again. My phone buzzed. Text from my neighbor Sarah. Mittens won't eat. Acting weird. Help? Excuse me. I showed Leah the message. My neighbor's cat. Mind if I take a look? We could continue this at your place. 20 minutes later, we stood in Sarah's kitchen while Mittens, a gray tabby, cowered under the table. He's been like this for 3 days, Sarah explained. Won't touch his food, barely moves. Leah knelt slowly, extending her hand. Hey there, handsome. What's going on? The cat emerged, sniffing cautiously at her fingers. Sarah, have you moved anything recently? Changed his routine? Well, I rearranged the living room last weekend. Leah nodded, still focused on Mittens. He's confused about his territory. Cats need familiar scent markers to feel secure. Where did you put his favorite sleeping blanket? In the closet. It was getting ratty. Could you bring it out and maybe move his food bowl back to its original spot? Sarah disappeared, returning with a faded blue blanket. The moment she spread it on the floor, Mittens trotted over and began purring. I'll be damned, Sarah muttered. Leah scratched behind the cat's ears. Animals are simple. They just want to feel safe and understood. Most behavioral problems come from unmet emotional needs. After Sarah thanked us profusely and insisted on paying Leah, we found ourselves walking toward my apartment building. The October air carried hints of wood smoke and dying leaves. That was impressive, I admitted. Basic psychology. Animals aren't that different from people. They act out when something's wrong. Is that your philosophy on everything? She stopped walking, turned to face me. Pretty much. Including humans who build walls to keep everyone at a safe distance. Heat flooded my cheeks. I don't build walls. Sure you don't. That's why you conducted our entire interview from behind your phone, asked only safe questions, and haven't made eye contact for longer than 3 seconds. This is professional. Claire, her voice was gentle, when's the last time you let someone actually see you? The question hit like a physical blow. Standing there, on the sidewalk, autumn wind lifting her blonde hair, Leah waited for an answer I didn't have. I should get back, I said finally. Should. There's that word again. She stepped closer, close enough that I caught her scent vanilla and something else, something wild and honest. What are you afraid of? I'm not afraid of anything. Liar. The word should have stung, but the way she said it, soft and knowing, made my chest tight instead. I barely know you. Sometimes strangers see us clearest. She reached up, barely touching my cheek with her fingertips. You're allowed to want things, Claire. Even things that scare you. Before I could respond, she leaned in and kissed me. Soft, warm, lasting just long enough to turn my world sideways. When she pulled back, my heart was hammering against my ribs. Think about what you really want, she whispered, not what you should want. She walked away, leaving me standing there touching my lips, wondering who the hell I'd become in the space of one afternoon. I spent 3 days avoiding Leah's business card, which I'd somehow memorized despite never intending to. Friday morning, my assistant Jessica knocked on my office door with coffee and that look that meant she had opinions. You've been weird since Tuesday, she announced, settling into the chair across from my desk. Distracted. Almost human. Thanks for the character assessment. I'm serious. You missed the Versace preview call yesterday. You never miss fashion calls. She was right. I'd been staring out my window instead, replaying that kiss on repeat like some teenager. There's this woman, I started, then stopped. Finally. Details. Now. It's not what you think. She's this animal communicator I interviewed. Interesting person, that's all. Jessica raised one perfectly sculpted eyebrow. Animal communicator? Don't start. Claire, honey, you haven't been interested in any person, male or female, since your divorce. If someone's caught your attention, that's worth exploring. The admission hung between us. Jessica was right about the divorce. 3 years of freedom that felt more like solitary confinement. It's complicated. The best things usually are. That evening, rain drummed against my windows while I pretended to read submissions. Every sound made me think of Leah's voice, the way she'd said my name like she was tasting something sweet. My doorbell rang at 8:30. Through the peephole, I saw Leah standing in the hallway, soaked from the storm, holding a bottle of wine. Before you ask, she said when I opened the door, I'm not stalking you. Your neighbor Sarah gave me your apartment number when I returned her Tupperware. Sarah doesn't have my Tupperware. She does now. I brought her homemade soup for Mittens. Cats love chicken broth. I stepped aside to let her in, hyper-aware of how my apartment must look to her. Everything beige and black, carefully curated, emotionally vacant. Nice place, she said, though her tone suggested otherwise. Very controlled. I like order. Order's different from emptiness. She wandered to my bookshelf, running her fingers along the spines. Fashion histories, business guides, nothing personal, nothing that revealed who I actually was beneath the professional veneer. Where are your real books? These are real books. I mean the ones that matter to you. The ones you read for pleasure, not work. Heat crept up my neck. I don't really read for pleasure anymore. She turned, studying me with those blue eyes that saw too much. When did you stop? The question hit harder than it should have. I don't know. Busy career, I guess. That's not an answer. Thunder cracked overhead, loud enough to make us both jump. The lights flickered once, twice, then died completely. Perfect, I muttered, fumbling for my phone's flashlight. Where are your candles? I don't have candles. Of course you don't. In the blue glow of my phone, I saw her smiling, not mockingly, but with something like affection. Emergency flashlights in the kitchen drawer, I said. We found it, along with battery-powered radio and 3 bottles of water. Classic Claire, prepared for everything except emotional honesty. Impressive disaster kit, Leah said, settling on my couch. Now what? The storm showed no signs of stopping. Rain lashed the windows while wind howled through the building's corridors. We wait, I guess. She patted the cushion beside her. Come sit, I won't bite. That's not what I'm worried about. What are you worried about? I sat, careful to maintain distance. That you might. Her laugh was warm and genuine. Fair enough. We sat in comfortable silence, listening to the storm. The flashlight cast strange shadows on the walls, making my sterile apartment feel almost cozy. Can I ask you something? She said eventually. Shoot. When's the last time you cried? The question caught me completely off guard. What kind of question is that? An honest one. I thought about it, really thought. My divorce, I guess. 3 years ago. Nothing since? I don't cry easily. Or you don't let yourself. She shifted closer, close enough that I could feel her warmth. Claire, what happened to you? Nothing happened. I grew up, got practical. That's not growing up. That's shutting down. Her hand found mine in the darkness, fingers interlacing. Such a simple touch, but it sent electricity up my arm. I used to write, I heard myself saying. Fiction. terrible romance novels that no one would ever publish. What happened to them? Threw them away when I got serious about my career. All of them? Every page. She was quiet for a long moment. That must have hurt. Something cracked inside my chest. I told myself it was necessary. Professional image and all. And now? Now, I edit other people's dreams for a living. The words hung in the air between us, more honest than anything I'd said in years. "It's not too late," she said softly. "For what?" "To remember who you were before you decided who you should be." I turned toward her, and suddenly we were facing each other in the dim light, her hand still holding mine. "Leah." "Yeah? I don't know how to do this." "Do what?" "Feel things, want things, be vulnerable." She reached up, cupping my face in her free hand. "You're doing it right now." "I'm terrified." "Good. That means it matters." This time, when she kissed me, I kissed her back. The next morning brought sunshine and second thoughts. I woke on my couch with Leah's jacket draped over me, like a promise I wasn't sure I could keep. She'd left after the storm passed, but not before writing her number on my coffee table in condensation from her water glass. "Call me when you're ready to stop running," the message read. I spent Saturday pacing my apartment, alternating between reaching for my phone and talking myself out of it. By Sunday, Jessica was texting hourly check-ins. "You're spiraling. I can feel it from here." She was right. I was spiraling into that familiar space where fear masqueraded as logic. Monday brought distraction in the form of Marcus dumping a new assignment on my desk. Animal shelter benefit gala next weekend. Needs coverage. Since when do we cover charity events? Since the mayor's wife is chairing it and advertising with us. Of course. I grabbed the press packet, scanning the details. Jackson Animal Rescue fundraising dinner silent auction, and there, listed as a featured speaker, Leah Allen, animal communication specialist. The universe had a twisted sense of humor. Wednesday afternoon found me standing outside Jackson Animal Rescue, ostensibly here to interview the director about the upcoming gala. Really, I was hoping to see Leah without having to make the first move. The shelter buzzed with activity. Volunteers walked dogs, cleaned kennels, and cooed over kittens in the adoption room. I found the director, a harried woman named Carol, in her office surrounded by paperwork. Southern Style magazine? Perfect timing. Leah's here working with some of our more troubled cases. My heart did something acrobatic. Working how? Communication sessions. We get animals with behavioral issues, sometimes trauma, abandonment. Traditional training doesn't always work. She led me through the kennels to a quiet room where Leah sat on the floor with a large German shepherd. The dog was pressed against the far wall, trembling. "This is Rex," Carol whispered. "Rescued from a fighting ring 3 months ago. Won't let anyone touch him." Leah sat perfectly still, not trying to approach, just being present. Her voice was barely audible. "I know you're scared. I know humans have hurt you. But some of us are different." Slowly, impossibly, the dog's trembling decreased. "You're safe here. No one's going to hurt you anymore." Rex took one tentative step forward, then another. Within minutes, he was sitting next to her, still tense, but no longer cowering. "Incredible," Carol breathed. "He's never done that before." I watched Leah work with 3 more animals, each one responding to her calm presence. A cat who'd stopped eating after losing her owner. A puppy mill survivor who flinched at sudden movements. A senior dog who'd been returned to the shelter twice. With each animal, she showed the same patience, the same gentle understanding she'd shown with me during the storm. "You're amazing at this," I said when she finished. She looked up, surprised to see me. "Claire, what are you doing here?" "Magazine assignment." "The gala." "Right. Of course." Something shifted in her expression, walls going up. I recognized the look because I'd perfected it myself. "Walk with me?" I asked. We stepped outside where volunteers were exercising dogs in the yard. Golden afternoon light made everything look softer, including the guarded expression on Leah's face. About the other night, I started, You don't owe me explanations. Maybe I owe myself one. She stopped walking, turned to face me. Okay? I've been thinking about what you said. About remembering who I was. And? I think I've been so busy being who I thought I should be that I forgot who I wanted to be. A small smile played at the corners of her mouth. That's a start. I'm scared as hell, Leah. Of what? Of wanting this. Of wanting you. Of what people will think, what it means for my career, my reputation. What do you want to risk it for? I looked at her standing there in the shelter yard, blonde hair catching the light, blue eyes patient and kind, surrounded by rescued animals who trusted her completely. For the chance to feel alive again. She stepped closer. That's a good reason. Is it enough? Only you can answer that. The space between us felt electric. Other volunteers moved around the yard, but they might as well have been invisible. Leah. Yeah? I want to try. I want to see where this goes. Her smile was like sunrise. Yeah? Yeah. She reached for my hand, lacing our fingers together. Fair warning, I don't do casual. Neither do I, apparently. She pulled me closer, until we were standing in the shadow of an old oak tree, partially hidden from view. Claire? I'm going to kiss you now. In broad daylight, where people might see. My heart hammered against my ribs. Okay. You sure? Instead of answering, I stood on my toes and kissed her first. Soft and sweet and absolutely terrifying in the best possible way. When we broke apart, I was breathless. Damn, she whispered. My thoughts exactly. So what now? I squeezed her hand, amazed at my own courage. Now you take me on a proper date. Somewhere public where I can't chicken out. Her laugh was music. Deal. But fair warning. What now? I'm going to spoil you for anyone else. Promise? Count on it. Walking back toward the shelter, hands intertwined, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Hope. Terrifying, exhilarating, absolutely worth the risk hope. Our first official date lasted 6 hours. Leah picked a small bistro downtown where the tables were close enough for whispered conversations and the lighting was forgiving. I spent 20 minutes choosing what to wear, settling on a dress that said trying without trying too hard. You look beautiful, she said when I met her outside the restaurant. Simple words, but the way she looked at me made them feel true. Dinner conversation flowed like we'd known each other for years. She told me about growing up on a farm outside Memphis, how her grandmother had been the first person to take her animal communication seriously. I found myself sharing stories I hadn't told anyone about my college writing workshops, the novel I'd started and abandoned, the dreams I'd buried under professional ambition. What made you stop writing? She asked over dessert. Reality. Student loans. The need to eat. That's not the whole truth. She was right, as usual. My ex-husband thought it was frivolous, said I needed to focus on building a real career. And you listened? I was 25 and scared. Success seemed more important than happiness. Her hand found mine across the table. And now? Now I'm 49 and scared of different things. After dinner, we wandered through downtown Jackson's antique district. Most shops were closed, but we window shopped and talked, our conversation punctuated by comfortable silences. There, Leah said, stopping in front of Henderson Antiques. That place calls to me. Through the dusty window, I could see furniture draped in white sheets, old paintings leaning against walls, the accumulated history of a dozen lifetimes. It's closed. Saturday. We'll come back. But something about the shop nagged at me all week. Friday afternoon, I found myself standing outside Henderson Antiques again, this time during business hours. A bell chimed as I entered, stirring dust motes in shafts of sunlight. Help you find something? Asked an elderly man behind the counter. Just browsing. The shop was a maze of furniture and curiosities. I wandered through rooms filled with Victorian chairs, Depression-era china, wartime photographs of people whose names were lost to time. In the back corner, a mahogany jewelry box caught my eye. Something about its simple elegance appealed to me. "That's a beauty," the shopkeeper said, appearing beside me. "Came from an estate sale last month. Lady had it 70 years, never opened it in front of anyone." The price was reasonable. I bought it on impulse, thinking it might look nice on my dresser, something with history to balance out my sterile apartment. That evening, Leah came over with Thai takeout and wine. She'd become a regular presence in my space, and I was surprised how natural it felt. "What's this?" she asked, noticing the jewelry box on my coffee table. "Impulse purchase. From that antique shop you liked." She ran her fingers over the wood, tracing the delicate inlay work. "It's beautiful. Mind if I look inside?" "Go ahead." The box opened with a soft creak, revealing burgundy velvet compartments and a small key. But there was something else, a loose corner of fabric lining that didn't quite match the rest. "There's something hidden here," Leah said, working the fabric free with gentle fingers. Underneath was an envelope, yellowed with age. My name was written on it in faded ink, but not my name. Claire in elegant script, followed by a surname I didn't recognize. "Should we open it?" I asked. "It's addressed to Claire." Inside was a single sheet of paper, dated July 15th, 1952. The handwriting was a woman's, careful and deliberate. "My dearest Claire," Leah read aloud. "If you're reading this, I've found the courage to tell you what I've hidden in my heart for 3 years. I love you, not as a friend, not as a companion, but as a woman loves another woman. I know society says this is wrong, that we should be ashamed, but I refuse to be ashamed of the most beautiful thing I've ever felt." We both went silent. The letter continued, describing a love that had to be hidden, meetings that had to be secret, the agony of living authentically in a world that demanded conformity. "The hardest part isn't hiding from others," Leah continued reading. "It's hiding from ourselves. But I'm done hiding, Claire. I'm done pretending that what we have isn't real, isn't worth fighting for. I know you're scared. I'm scared too. But I'd rather be terrified and honest than safe and empty. Meet me at our place tomorrow at sunset if you feel the same. If not, I'll understand, but I had to try. All my love, Margaret." The letter shook in Leah's hands. Neither of us spoke for a long moment. "Do you think she went?" I finally asked. "I hope so." I took the letter, reading it again. The words felt like they were written directly to me across 70 years. "Leah." "Yeah?" "I'm done hiding too." She set down her wine, turning to face me fully. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I don't want to be safe and empty anymore. I want to be terrified and honest." The space between us seemed to vibrate with possibility. "Claire." "I love you," I said, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. "I know it's fast and crazy and completely terrifying, but I love you." Her smile was radiant. "I love you too." When she kissed me this time, it was different, deeper, full of promise and possibility. I felt something unlock inside my chest. Years of careful control finally giving way to something real. We made love that night with a tenderness that surprised me. Slow touches and whispered names, learning each other's bodies like sacred geography. When I cried afterward, Leah held me close, understanding without explanation that these were tears of relief, of finally coming home to myself. Later, wrapped in her arms, I thought about Margaret and her Claire, whether they'd found their courage, whether love had been enough. "Thank you," I whispered into the darkness. "For what?" "For seeing me, for waiting while I found myself. Thank you for letting me." In the morning, I would worry about work, about what people would think, about all the practical complications of loving someone like Leah. But tonight, holding the letter that had traveled 70 years to find me, I understood that some chances only come once, and I was finally brave enough to take mine. Monday morning hit like cold water. The magazine office buzzed with pre-holiday energy, everyone discussing Christmas party plans and year-end bonuses. I sat at my desk, staring at my computer screen, Margaret's letter tucked safely in my purse like a talisman. "You're glowing," Jessica announced, dropping into the chair across from my desk. Like actually glowing. What happened? Nothing happened. Liar. You're wearing a different perfume, your hair's softer, and you've smiled more this morning than you have all month. Heat crept up my neck. I'm just having a good week. It's the animal lady, isn't it? I tried for casual. Leah and I have been spending time together. Define spending time. Jessica. Claire. You're my boss and my friend. I want details. The truth sat on my tongue, terrifying and liberating. We're dating. Finally. How serious? That was the question, wasn't it? Serious enough that I'm scared. Good scared or bad scared? Both. Marcus appeared at my office door, interrupting our conversation. Barnes. Conference room. 5 minutes. In the conference room, half the editorial staff was already assembled around the polished table. Marcus stood at the head, looking particularly self-important. Holiday party planning, he announced. December 15th, Riverside Hotel, black tie, +1s encouraged for department heads. My stomach dropped. The annual Christmas party was Jackson's media event of the year. Advertisers, city officials, local celebrities. Everyone who mattered in my professional world would be there. +1s? Asked David from sports. Significant others. Wives, husbands, serious dating partners. Good networking opportunity. The words hung in the air while I calculated risks. Bringing Leah would be a statement. Not bringing her would be cowardice. Questions? Marcus asked. I raised my hand before I could stop myself. Define serious dating partners. Anyone you'd introduce to your mother. Nervous laughter around the table. If only he knew. That evening, Leah cooked dinner at my place, moving around my kitchen like she belonged there. She'd been staying over most nights, her presence transforming my sterile apartment into something resembling a home. How was work? She asked, stirring pasta sauce. Complicated. How so? I told her about the Christmas party. About the +1 situation. About the professional implications of being seen together publicly. And you're worried about what people will think, she said, not a question. Aren't you? She turned from the stove, wooden spoon in hand. Claire, I've been out since I was 22. I've lost jobs, friends, family members. But I've also found incredible people who love me exactly as I am. This is different. How? My career, my reputation, everything I've built. What exactly are you afraid of losing? The question stopped me cold. Respect. Professional credibility. Advancement opportunities. From people who would judge you for loving someone. The fashion world isn't exactly known for progressive thinking. Some parts aren't, others are. She had a point. Fashion had always attracted people who lived outside conventional boundaries. But Jackson wasn't New York or Los Angeles. It was the South, where tradition held tight. I need time to think about it. Of course. But Claire? Yeah? Whatever you decide, decide for yourself. Not because of what other people might think. The weekend brought a welcome distraction. Leah introduced me to her friend group at a dinner party in Fondren. I'd expected hippies and activists, but found doctors, lawyers, teachers, a surprising cross-section of Jackson's professional community. So, you're the mysterious fashion editor, said Amanda, a pediatrician with kind eyes. Leah's been gushing about you for weeks. Gushing is a strong word, Leah protested, though her blush said otherwise. She showed us your magazine piece about sustainable fashion. Brilliant work. The evening flowed with easy conversation, good wine, and genuine acceptance. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe fully around other people. They're wonderful, I told Leah as we walked to the car. They're family. The kind you choose. I don't have family like that. You could. Driving home, I thought about the evening. How natural it had felt to hold Leah's hand at dinner, to be introduced as her girlfriend, to exist openly as half of a couple. Leah? Would you come to the Christmas party with me? She nearly swerved. Seriously? Seriously. I'm tired of hiding who I am. You sure? There's no taking it back once we walk in together. I know. She pulled over, parking under a streetlight. Claire, look at me. I turned to face her, seeing my own nervousness reflected in her blue eyes. I love you, but I won't be your dirty little secret or your experiment. If we do this, we do it honestly. I understand. Do you? Because once people know, everything changes. There will be gossip, judgment, probably some professional backlash. I know. And you're willing to risk that? For us? I thought about Margaret's letter, about choosing courage over comfort. Yes. She leaned across the car and kissed me, soft and sure. Then yes, I'll be your date. The 2 weeks leading up to the party flew by in a blur of work deadlines and nervous energy. I bought a new dress, black silk that hugged my curves, and helped Leah find a complimentary cocktail dress in deep blue that matched her eyes. The morning of the party, I woke with butterflies staging a full revolt in my stomach. Second thoughts? Leah asked, bringing me coffee in bed. Third and fourth thoughts. We don't have to do this. Yes, we do. I'm done being afraid of my own life. She smiled, settling beside me on the bed. In that case, we're going to be fabulous. Promise? I promise. But, Claire? Yeah? Whatever happens tonight, we face it together. I kissed her, tasting coffee and possibility, together. By 6 o'clock, we were dressed and ready. Looking in the mirror, we made a striking couple. Professional, confident, undeniably together. Ready? Leah asked, offering me her arm. I took it, feeling steadier than I had in weeks. Ready. Walking into the Riverside Hotel, I felt every eye in the room turn toward us. Conversations paused, glasses stopped mid-sip, the entire Jackson media establishment taking note. Leah squeezed my arm. Breathe. I smiled, surprising myself with how natural it felt. Let's go make some statements. The Riverside Hotel ballroom glittered with Jackson's media elite. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over black tie crowds while a jazz quartet played softly in the corner. Leah and I entered arm in arm, and I felt the exact moment conversations stuttered to a halt. Claire Barnes with a date, whispered someone behind us. Who is she? Came another voice. Marcus materialized beside us within minutes, his politician's smile firmly in place. Claire, you look lovely, and you must be? Leah Allen, she said, extending her hand with perfect composure. I've heard so much about you. Likewise. What do you do, Leah? Animal communication specialist. His smile flickered for just a moment. How interesting. The evening progressed in a blur of introductions and carefully worded conversations. Most people were professionally polite, but I caught the sideways glances, the whispered speculation. By 10 o'clock, I needed air. Balcony? I suggested. Outside, the December night was crisp and clear. Jackson's lights spread out below us like scattered diamonds. You okay? Leah asked. Better than okay. That wasn't as terrifying as I thought. The night's not over. She was right. As we stood there sharing a quiet moment, my phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. Saw you at the party. Call me. Richard. My blood turned to ice water. What is it? Leah asked, seeing my expression. My ex-husband. He's in town. Richard had been my safe choice. Successful lawyer, old Jackson family, everything my parents had wanted for me. Our marriage had been comfortable and completely hollow, ending when I finally admitted we were just two people going through the motions. Should I be worried? Leah asked. No. Yes. I don't know. My phone rang. Richard's name on the screen. Claire? We need to talk. Richard. What are you doing in Jackson? Business. Saw you at the party tonight with your friend. Friend. The word stung with its deliberate obtuseness. Leah's not just a friend. I figured. Can we meet for coffee tomorrow? There's something I want to discuss. Every instinct screamed danger, but curiosity won. Fine. Cups coffee at 10. Perfect, Claire? You look happy. Different. The line went dead, leaving me staring at my phone. What did he want? Leah asked. To meet tomorrow. Says he has something to discuss. And you said yes. I'm curious. Claire. Her voice carried a warning. Some doors should stay closed. But I was already wondering what Richard wanted. Why he'd chosen now to resurface. The next morning, I arrived at Cups Coffee 10 minutes early, ordering my usual and claiming a corner table. Richard walked in at exactly 10, looking every inch the successful Atlanta attorney in his tailored suit and perfect haircut. Claire. He kissed my cheek like we were old friends instead of divorced spouses. Richard, you look well. So do you. Really well. He ordered coffee and settled across from me, studying my face with the intensity that had once made me feel special and later suffocated. So, I said, what's this about? I've been thinking about us, about what we had. Richard, we're divorced. That conversation is 3 years too late. Is it? I made mistakes, Claire. I took you for granted, didn't appreciate what we had, but I've learned from that. Good for you. I want you back. The words hit like a physical blow. Excuse me? I know how this sounds, but hear me out. I've spent 3 years realizing what I lost. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. You have got to be kidding. I'm dead serious. We were good together. Stable. We had a life, a future. We had nothing. We were roommates with tax benefits. That's not true. Richard, I felt more alive in 1 month with Leah than I did in our entire marriage. His expression hardened. Leah. The animal psychic. Animal communicator. And she's more real than anything we ever had. Claire, be practical. This thing with her, it's a phase, midlife experimentation. But what happens when the novelty wears off? You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? You think I haven't done research? Women your age, going through identity crises, exploring their sexuality. It's textbook. Rage flared in my chest. Get out. I'm offering you security, Claire. A real future. Partnership with someone who understands your world, your ambitions. You're offering me a cage. I'm offering you respectability. From who? People whose opinions don't matter to me anymore? He leaned forward, voice dropping to the persuasive tone that had once worked on me. Think about your career, your reputation. Is this woman worth throwing all that away? Yes. The word came out stronger than I felt, but I meant it. Claire, please. Don't make a decision you'll regret. The only decision I regret is wasting 8 years married to someone who never really saw me. I stood to leave, but his hand caught my wrist. I love you. No, Richard. You love the idea of me, the version that fit into your perfect life plan. And she loves you? Really loves you? Or does she love having someone to fix? The question hit its target. I pulled free of his grip. Think about it, he said. I'll be in town through New Year's. When this fantasy runs its course, call me. I walked out without another word, but his poison had already started working. That afternoon, Leah found me in my apartment, staring at Margaret's letter. How did it go? She asked. He wants me back. She went very still. And I told him no, obviously. But he said some things that got under my skin. Like what? I looked at her sitting on my couch, beautiful and patient, and everything Richard said she was. That this is a phase, midlife experimentation. Do you think it is? I don't know. Maybe. Does it matter? Her face crumpled slightly. It matters to me. Leah, I love you. But what if he's right? What if I'm just going through some kind of crisis? Then you need to figure that out. What does that mean? She stood, grabbing her jacket from the chair. It means I won't be anyone's experiment. I won't sit around waiting for you to decide if loving me is worth the inconvenience. That's not what I'm doing. Isn't it? 3 months ago, you couldn't admit you wanted this. Now your ex shows up and suddenly you're questioning everything again? I'm just being honest about my doubts. Your doubts or his manipulation? The question hung between us like an accusation. I need time to think, I said. Of course you do. She headed for the door, then turned back. Claire, I've been where you are. I know what it's like to choose between love and safety, but you can't have both. What if I choose wrong? Then you'll live with the consequences. But at least you'll be living. The door closed behind her with finality, leaving me alone with Margaret's letter and the echoes of Richard's voice, wondering if I was brave enough to choose love over fear. Or if I'd already made my choice by hesitating. 3 days passed in silence. I threw myself into work, editing holiday features and year-end retrospectives. Anything to avoid thinking about the choice I'd made by not making one. Jessica brought me coffee and concerned looks, but I waved off her questions. Thursday evening, I found myself back at Henderson Antiques, drawn by some inexplicable need to understand Margaret's story. The elderly shopkeeper remembered me. Back for more treasures? Actually, I'm curious about the jewelry box I bought, the one with the letter inside. His eyes lit up. Ah, yes. Fascinating piece. Came from the Whitmore estate. Margaret Whitmore lived to be 93. Never married, but shared her house with a companion for 50 years. My heart stopped. A companion? Claire Henderson. My aunt, actually. She left me the shop when she died. The room spun slightly. Claire Henderson was your aunt? Indeed. Wonderful woman. She and Margaret were inseparable. Traveled the world together, ran a small art gallery. Most devoted couple I ever knew. Couple? He smiled knowingly. Different times back then. Had to be discreet. But love is love, isn't it? I bought another small item, just to keep him talking, learning that Margaret and Claire had lived openly together in their later years, beloved by their community for their kindness and generosity. Margaret kept that jewelry box on her dresser until the day she died, he said. Always said it held her most precious memory. Walking to my car, I understood. Margaret had found her courage. She'd taken the risk, and it had given her 50 years of happiness. Friday brought the Jackson Animal Rescue fundraiser. I'd committed to covering it before everything fell apart with Leah, and backing out now would be professional suicide. I arrived at the event hall to find the place transformed into an elegant celebration of animal welfare. And there was Leah, radiant in a simple black dress, standing at a microphone on the small stage. Many people ask me how I communicate with animals, she was saying. The truth is, animals are always communicating. They're honest about their feelings, their needs, their fears. The skill isn't in hearing them. It's in being brave enough to listen. Her eyes found mine in the crowd. Love requires the same courage. The willingness to be vulnerable, to risk everything for connection. Animals understand this instinctively. Humans have to learn it. The crowd applauded, but I barely heard it. Her words felt directed straight at me. After her speech, I watched her work the room with natural grace, talking to potential donors and volunteers. She was in her element, passionate and authentic in a way that made my chest ache. She's something special. I turned to find Carol, the shelter director, beside me. Yes, she is. You two having problems? How did you... Honey, I've been watching you watch her all evening. Plus, she's been miserable for 3 days. Rex won't even work with her, she's so distracted. It's complicated. Love usually is. The evening wound down with a silent auction and dancing. I hung back, professional photographer mode, capturing candid moments while wrestling with my own cowardice. Near the end of the night, I saw Richard enter the hall. He looked out of place in his expensive suit among the animal lovers and activists, scanning the room until he found me. Claire, impressive event. What are you doing here? I told you I'd be in town. Thought I'd see what all the fuss was about. He gestured toward Leah, who was saying goodbye to the last group of donors. She seems lovely, very passionate. Richard, don't. I'm just observing. She clearly cares about her work. About making a difference. Your point? No point. Just thinking about what you said. About feeling alive. Leah approached us, her professional smile faltering slightly when she saw Richard. You must be the ex-husband, she said, extending her hand. Richard Montgomery. I've heard a lot about you. Likewise. They shook hands with the careful politeness of opposing armies calling a temporary truce. Wonderful speech tonight, Richard continued. Very moving. Thank you. Claire tells me you two have become quite close. We have. I wanted to disappear into the floor. Richard, we should go. Actually, he said, I wanted to apologize to both of you. I said some things the other day that were out of line. Leah raised an eyebrow. Oh? I was hurt, confused about Claire moving on. But watching you tonight, seeing how you light up when you talk about your work, about making the world better, I can see why she cares about you. That's very gracious, Leah said carefully. The thing is, Richard continued, I realize I never made Claire light up like that. I never inspired her to be her best self. He turned to me. You deserve someone who sees your potential, who challenges you to grow. I tried to keep you in a box because it felt safe. That was selfish. Richard, I'm withdrawing my offer, Claire. Not because I don't love you, but because I finally understand what love actually means. He kissed my cheek gently. Be happy, both of you. After he left, Leah and I stood in awkward silence while the cleanup crew worked around us. That was unexpected, she said finally. He's not usually that self-aware. Maybe seeing us together showed him something. Maybe. We walked outside, into the crisp December night. The parking lot was nearly empty, just our 2 cars and a few stragglers saying goodbyes. Leah, I owe you an apology. Do you? I let him get in my head. Let fear override everything I know to be true. Which is? That I love you. That what we have is real. That I'd rather be terrified with you than safe without you. She leaned against her car, studying my face in the parking lot lights. And you're sure about that? I've never been more sure of anything. Even if it costs you professionally? Even then. She was quiet for a long moment. Claire, I can't keep doing this. The back and forth, the uncertainty. I need to know you're all in. I am. Prove it. How? She smiled, the first real smile I'd seen from her all week. Move in with me. What? You heard me. Move in with me. Your apartment is beautiful and sterile and everything you think you should want. My house is chaotic and full of animals and completely impractical. But it's real. The suggestion terrified and thrilled me in equal measure. That's a big step. It is. But I'm tired of small steps. I want a life with you, Claire. The real thing. Messy and complicated and absolutely worth it. I thought about Margaret's letter, about 50 years of happiness that started with one moment of courage. Yes. Yes? Yes, I'll move in with you. Yes, I want the real thing. Yes to all of it. She pushed off from her car and kissed me, deep and sure and full of promise. When we broke apart, I was breathless. Good, she whispered against my lips, because I wasn't taking no for an answer. Bossy, you love it. I love you. We made love that night with desperate intensity, as if trying to make up for the days we'd lost to fear and doubt. Afterward, wrapped in her arms, I felt something settle into place inside my chest. Peace, maybe, or just the recognition that I was finally completely home. Leah? Thank you for waiting for me to catch up. Thank you for being worth the wait. I fell asleep planning how to fit my life into hers, excited for the first time in years about what came next. 6 months later, I stood in the doorway of our new home, watching Leah coax a skittish rescue cat out from under the kitchen table. Our home. The words still felt strange and wonderful on my tongue. Come on, Duchess, Leah whispered. Nobody's going to hurt you here. The cat, a gray tabby with trust issues, had been with us for 2 weeks. Like most of Leah's fosters, She'd come from a bad situation and needed time to believe in kindness again. Any progress? I asked. She ate while I was in the shower. That's something. I'd moved out of my sterile apartment in March, combining my minimalist aesthetic with Leah's comfortable chaos. The result was surprisingly harmonious. Clean lines softened by worn quilts, modern furniture sharing space with rescued animals and secondhand treasures. My consulting business was thriving. After leaving Southern Style, I'd started Barnes Creative, helping small fashion brands develop authentic marketing strategies. Turns out, living authentically had made me better at helping others do the same. Mail's here, I announced, sorting through bills and catalogs. Anything interesting? Wedding invitation from Jessica. And something from Henderson Antiques. The envelope was addressed to both of us in the shopkeeper's careful handwriting. Inside was a note and a small wrapped package. Found this in another piece from the Whitmore estate, I read aloud. Thought you might appreciate it. Unwrapping the tissue paper revealed another letter, this one addressed to my beloved Margaret in familiar handwriting. It's from Claire, Leah said, recognizing the script from our first letter. Claire Henderson. I opened it carefully, afraid it might crumble. My darling Margaret, I read. 50 years ago today, you asked me to meet you at our place. I was terrified, but I went. Best decision of my life. Every day since has been a gift I never expected to receive. Thank you for teaching me that love isn't about being safe. It's about being brave enough to choose joy. The letter continued, describing decades of happiness, travels together, quiet mornings, and shared dreams. It ended with a simple declaration. You saved my life by loving me exactly as I am. I hope someday other women find the courage we found. Love always, Claire. They made it, Leah whispered. They made it. We sat in comfortable silence, thinking about Margaret and Claire, about courage and love and the strange way the universe sometimes conspires to give us exactly what we need. Speaking of courage, Leah said, standing up, I have something for you. She disappeared into the bedroom, returning with a small box wrapped in brown paper. What's this? Open it. Inside was a simple silver ring, elegant and timeless. Before you panic, it's not an engagement ring. Well, not exactly. What exactly is it? A promise ring. A commitment ring. A let's plan our future together ring. My heart hammered against my ribs. Are you proposing? I'm proposing we stop talking about someday and start planning for always. I looked at the ring, then at her face, open and hopeful and absolutely certain. Yes. Yes? Yes to planning always. Yes to building a life together. She slipped the ring onto my finger where it fit perfectly. I love you, Claire Barnes. I love you too, Leah Allen. We kissed in our kitchen, surrounded by rescue animals and second-hand furniture and all the beautiful imperfection of a real life. Later that evening, we walked through downtown Jackson, hand in hand, planning our commitment ceremony for next spring. We decided on something small and meaningful, surrounded by the family we'd chosen and the community that had embraced us. Where should we have it? Leah asked. The animal shelter? Perfect. Rex can be my best man. I laughed, imagining the dignified German shepherd in a bow tie. As we passed Henderson Antiques, something in the window caught my eye. A small writing desk, mahogany with delicate brass fittings. Look, I pointed. It's beautiful. I'm going to start writing again. Fiction. Maybe that romance novel I never finished. What changed your mind? Margaret and Claire. Their story needs to be told. All our stories do. We stood there planning my return to writing, to the dreams I'd abandoned years ago for the safety of other people's expectations. You know what I think? Leah said. What? I think we were supposed to find that first letter. Like Margaret and Claire were passing the torch. You think they planned it? I think love finds a way, across time, across fear, across everything that tries to keep us apart. Walking home, I thought about the journey that had brought us here. the scared woman I'd been 6 months ago, hiding behind professional success and emotional emptiness. The woman I was now, planning a future with someone who saw and loved every part of me. Leah? Yeah? Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for being worth the wait. At home, Duchess finally emerged from under the table, approaching Leah with cautious trust. There's my brave girl, Leah whispered, gently scratching behind the cat's ears. I watched them together, thinking about courage and trust and the way love teaches us to be our best selves. That night, I started writing, not about fashion or marketing or any of the safe subjects that had filled my professional life. I wrote about Margaret and Claire, about love that transcends time, about the courage it takes to choose authenticity over safety. What are you writing? Leah asked, reading over my shoulder. Our story, their story, all of it. Think anyone will want to read it? I hope so. Someone out there needs to know it's possible. What's possible? Finding love. Finding yourself. Finding the courage to live the life you actually want instead of the one you think you should want. She kissed the top of my head. Sounds like a story worth telling. Outside, Jackson slept under a blanket of stars. Inside our home, surrounded by rescue animals and second-hand furniture and all the beautiful imperfection of a real life, I wrote about love and courage and the strange magic of finding exactly what you need when you're finally brave enough to look for it. The ring on my finger caught the lamplight, a promise of always in a world of temporary things. For the first time in my life, I was exactly where I belonged.